Hey beauties, welcome back to my channel and welcome back for another upload. My name is Essence Janay, and in today's video I have some new products to share with you guys and kind of test out and try on camera for you guys to see. I figured why not be the guinea pig? I know you guys enjoy these types of videos, especially when they're affordable in drugstore, which is what we're working with today. And I do have a mixture of products. I have some new launches. I have some products from brands that I love that I've never tried before. And I've also got a couple of new brands within the mix as well. Although the products aren't new launches, they're new for me because I've never tested or tried them before. With all of that, we are going to jump into today's video. But as always, before we begin, if you are not subscribed, please make sure you do that, as well as turn on the bell notification. It's completely free and it doesn't cost a thing. So if it's free for me, I know it's free for you. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the bell notification. So we're gonna go ahead and start with our eyeshadow today. I have a couple of palettes that I picked up, but I'm only gonna use one, but I do want to share them all with you. First is this one from the Lip Bar. This is their everyday eyeshadow palette, and it has 4 different shades in here. As you guys can see, they look like everyday wearable colors, definitely in my comfort zone. And then Wet n Wild also released some new little quads, or maybe more than a quad because it's actually 5 shadows that come in here, and I picked up 2 different ones. I have Sundays, which is this one right here, has your oranges, very summery, and I love the vibe of this palette. And then I also picked up Camo Flaunt, which also has some nice colors in here as well, and in my opinion has a little mixture of warm and cool tone. But these 2 palettes I will not be using today. I will be using the Lip Bar, which is a new brand for me. I want to dip into this and see what it's working with. So let's go ahead and open this up. So straight from the package, this is what the product looks like. Now I'm going to be quite honest with you guys, it's a lot smaller than what I thought it was going to be, even in that packaging. It's just a nice little square. Oop. Comes with like this little brush that we don't need. But if you guys look at the shadows, they're so pretty, so neutral, so everyday, and definitely very wearable. Now let's just see if the pigmentation and the blendability is there, because that's what matters most. I am going to start by taking the lightest shade in the palette, which is this one over here on the corner. I believe that's called Bouquet. It does have the shade names on the back. And I'm going to take that on a blending brush. This is the Morphe Jaclyn Hill JH32, and I'm just going to use this shadow in my crease. So I'm just going to blend the shadow back and forth in windshield wiper motions and just kind of get it all over the lid. Well, not necessarily the lid, but you know, the crease and the outer corner, just kind of prepping it for the rest of the shadows and just kind of blending it in. It's very light in color. Nothing too dark or intense. I'm going to grab a little bit more just to see if I can build this color up a little bit, just because we only have 4 shadows to work with in this palette. And if I find it difficult to create a look with this palette alone, then I will definitely think about going into one of the Wet n Wild palettes that I have, because I'm sure we can find a shade that will work with what we already have. So now that I have that color laid down, I'm going to go into the next shade in here, which is the only other matte, and that's that darker brown. I have to say that transition shade isn't as dark as I thought it would be. It's definitely very light. It's hard to see on camera, but in person it is there just slightly. So if you just wanted a shade to just throw in your crease or on your lid just to put on for the sake of putting on shadow, then I guess that would work for that. I'm not truly impressed with the shadow, but let's continue. So with that darker brown shade, I am going to tap this on the outer corner first and then slowly start to blend it on the crease. So to pack the shadow on, I'm using the Morphe M433, and then to blend it out, I'm using the M573. I find that the M573 is a little bit more fluffier, so it gives it a little bit more wiggle room, and it just gives it a nicer blown out effect, especially since it's super fluffy. So finally for the lid, I'm just gonna go ahead and use this shadow over here at the top, this shimmer shadow. It seems to be the one with the most shimmer in the palette. So I'm just gonna take that on this brush from Luxie. This is their 209 large shader brush. And I'm just going to press this on the front of my lid. So right here in the front, just press this shadow on. I'm not being too precise with this. Just kind of pressing it on as I please, very lightly, because obviously, as you guys can see, this shimmer isn't too intense. I haven't sprayed the brush down or anything. I'm sure if I do, it'll make it a little bit more intense, but truth be told, because these shadows on the outer corner aren't too dark or anything like that, they're just very soft and blown out. I just kind of want to keep the shimmer the same way. All right, you guys, so this is what the eyes are giving us. I'm not mad about it. I think it's really pretty. Now, for the price point of this little quad, I'm not too sure how I feel about it, but it's not something that I would completely and entirely put to the back of my drawer. I think it's more so for those who like to wear eyeshadow but don't like to try too hard or don't want anything too specific or fancy. This is definitely what the palette suggests that it is. Very everyday, because these shadows, no matter how dark that brown may appear to you guys, is very, very wearable. It's not dark at all. You do have to build it up. I feel like I built it up as much as I possibly could. It would take a lot of blending and packing on of shadow to get it a little bit darker than that, but I'm pretty content with where it's at right now. So what I'm gonna do is just pop on some lashes, but before I do, we have some mascara to test out. So this is the Lash It Loud Volumizing Mascara from e.l.f. I have not bought new mascara in I don't know how long, because I was trying to get rid of the ones I did have and use those up, but something about this one, I felt like I needed to try it. So I'm gonna apply this and see what it gives us. Alright, you guys, so this mascara definitely reminds me of one from Tarte. I don't quite remember the name of it, but it gives me the same vibe. I like how black my lashes seem and appear to be. Definitely gives it a fuller look. Adds a little bit of length, nothing too crazy. So I think this would be a really good everyday mascara to use. But as I've said many times, I almost always wear falsies, so the mascara I'm wearing underneath doesn't necessarily matter unless I plan on wearing no falsies that day. Alright, so my lashes are on. Now we can get started with the base makeup. Before we do that, I'm going to tell you what lashes I have on because they are drugstore. So at Ulta, I picked up the Allure London Luxe XL Faux Mink lashes. So this is the packaging of them. Obviously, they're not in there because they're on my eyes, but you can get these at Ulta. If you like you a nice dramatic lash, this is definitely the lash for you. I've decided to go big or go home, so we're going big today. Now on to priming the skin and prepping it for our foundation. I'm gonna use the Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Acid Hydrating Primer from Colourpop. You guys know I'm obsessed with their spray, which I have here as well, and I'm also obsessed with their foundation. So I am gonna be using the primer today for the first time, and from what I know, it's hydrating, so that means it's gonna be glowy, and we love a glow. So I'm just gonna apply this in my usual areas. So we're gonna go in with our second primer. This is the e.l.f. Jelly Pop Dew Primer. Yes, it says dew, but you guys know I love this one, especially because it's very comparable to the Milk Hydro Grip Primer. And I just want something that's really gonna help my base makeup stick to my skin and just last all day. So I'm just gonna press this everywhere as well, right on top of the other primer that we just used. Alright guys, let's go ahead and move into foundation as we let this primer kind of sit and soak into the skin. I'm going to give you guys the rundown on it. So Morphe just dropped this Filter Effect Soft Focus Foundation. This is what the packaging looks like. I haven't seen too many people talking about this, so I'm super excited to test it out and try it out in today's video. I did pick up the shade Tan 18. I believe there are 40 different shades that Morphe has launched with this product. It is medium to full coverage, so that's great. We love us a full coverage foundation, but I'm also okay with something a little bit more medium coverage as well these days. It's supposed to be long wearing, oil free, a natural finish, hydrate the skin, blur imperfections, and give the ultimate soft look. It has such great ingredients: hyaluronic acid, vitamin E, and glycerin. For those of you who don't know, hyaluronic acid is very essential for your skin. It's a skin smoothing moisture booster. The vitamin E is a powerful antioxidant, and the glycerin is a hydrator for healthy looking glowy skin, so that's great as well. So outside of the packaging, this is what the product looks like. It's glass, has a little weight to it, and the pump reminds me a lot of the Milani 3-in-1 foundation, if you guys remember that. It reminds me of that type of pump, but nonetheless it's a pump, so that's great. So they also launched with the foundation a brush and a sponge. I only have the brush to use today, which I will be using, and to be honest, from the looks of it, it kind of gives me cream contour vibes, but we're going to use it for the foundation. So this is the Morphe Filter Effect Foundation Brush, and this one is the E63. So what I'm going to do is pump the product on the back of my hand first. As you guys can see, this is one pump. It's not too runny. It's not really running at all. It definitely feels like a thicker formula, a thicker foundation for sure. And I'm just going to apply this on my skin with my finger first and just kind of place it where I want it. More so the general areas, if you will. And then let's take our brush. Again, I would probably use this for cream contour, but we're going to see how it works for the foundation. And I'm just going to buff it into the skin. So far, I think it has really nice coverage. It may be the primer as to why my skin looks glowy, but it said it's supposed to be like a soft focus, glowy kind of vibe, especially because of the hyaluronic acid that's in here. But so far, so good, to be honest. Alright, you guys, so I have one half of my face blended out, and the other one, I mean, I still have product, obviously, but you can kind of get a glimpse of what this side is looking like versus this side, and you just see that coverage. That coverage is definitely there. I think it looks really, really nice, very radiant. Again, that could be because of the primer that I used, but nonetheless, I'm impressed, you guys. I like it. I have not tried a foundation from Morphe before. This is definitely my first foundation from them, and I have to say I'm pretty impressed. So now I'm going to conceal. I'm just going to use my e.l.f. Camo Concealer just to conceal the under eyes. This is probably the only drugstore concealer that I have at the moment that I actually enjoy using and that I can use just for a little brightness underneath the eyes and in the T-zone. So I'm just gonna stick to what I know. To blend out my concealer, I am gonna use the sponge I got in my BoxyCharm from the Makeup Eraser. You guys have seen me use this sponge before. It's one that I do enjoy using quite a bit, so I am gonna use it today just to tap everything out. Now that we have that, I am going to move into cream contour, which I'm going to do really quickly because this is not a drugstore product. And the reason why it's not is because the drugstore shades that I do have for cream contour is not really what I want with today's look. So this is a little bit lighter but deeper at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and use this from Huda Beauty. Hopefully you guys don't mind. You guys can always skip the contouring step. But again, I just wanted to use this one, not because I wanted to step outside of drugstore, but because I do like this one the best out of what I have in my collection already. Moving into setting the face, I'm going to use the Maybelline Fit Me powder in light medium. This is what it looks like. And I'm just going to take that on my sponge and just tap underneath the eyes and in my T-zone very lightly. This powder by itself is very brightening, which I do like. So I'm just going to keep this focused on my T-zone only. I'm not going to take it all over my face just because it does have a little tint to it. And I want there to be some dimension within my face. So if I just put this everywhere, we're back to square one, and it kind of makes the cream contour counteractive, you know, in my opinion. So I'm just gonna keep it right here in the center. Let's go ahead and revert back down to the lower lash line and finish that out before we finish with the base makeup. So what I'm going to do is take both mixtures of these two shadows, the mattes in the palette basically, and I'm just gonna smudge those on my lower lash line. I don't want anything too intense. Since this look is very soft by itself, we don't need too much shadow underneath, but I do want to put just a little bit there just to complete everything. And just for a little something something in the inner corner, I'm gonna take the same shade we used on the lid space, and I'm gonna swirl my brush in here generously because it's not as softly packed, but I'm gonna grab about that much and I'm gonna pop that on my inner corner. So before I go ahead and finish off the rest of the face with the bronzer, the blush, the highlight, I'm going to line my waterline, and this is the NYX Epic Wear liner stick, and this one is in Cosmic Yellow, which is a very bright yellow, and I'm just going to use this on my waterline. I have to say it is very creamy. I love the formula, and also I think that the yellow isn't too intense, but it's not dull to where you can't tell and where it doesn't make a difference. I would have to say this is like our pop of color. What was an everyday makeup look kind of turned into a little bit more than that as far as the eyes, just because of the pop of color, but I think it goes nicely even though we technically didn't use any yellow, but it looks good, so I'm here for it. So with the power of editing, lower lash mascara has been applied, and now we can move into blush, bronzer, and highlight. So for bronzer and blush, I do have two new products, both from the same brand. They're from the Black Radiance brand in the drugstore, and this is the bronzer and the blush. So this one right here is the blush shade, and then this one right here is the bronzer shade. And I'm gonna use both today. First, starting with this big bronzer. This is in Gingersnap 3515. So this is what it looks like outside of the packaging. It's very pretty, very bronzy, and I would assume a little shimmery, which is fine with me. We all love a little glow, or at least I do, speaking for myself. And I'm just going to use my bronzer brush, this one right here from Moda, and I'm just going to bronze my skin with it. I'm going to take it on my forehead first, just so I can see what it looks like before I go too crazy. A lot of product on the brush, not so much product comes off when you apply it, which I think is nice because I'd rather build it up than it just be real harsh straight on. Wow, I don't know what took me so long to say that, but so far I like it. Gives me warm summer vibes, which I'm more than ready for. And again, you can build this up. It's not too intense right out the pan, so that's good. So as for the blush, this is what it looks like outside of the packaging. And this one is their baked blush in the shade Toasted Almond, which is 8306. All products will be listed down below. Everything new that I used today will be in the description box, so always make sure you guys check that. I've been making it a habit to put products down there for you guys because I know you guys enjoy that and appreciate that, so I tried to do it. Whoa, that is a powerful blush. Not like the bronzer, definitely very, very pigmented, so be very careful. I am just gonna blend out what I already have and just kind of, I don't know, put it on both sides as well as my nose and just distribute what I took out of the pan. And mind you, I only dipped in there once, that's it. So that's very, very pigmented. But again, blush is the first thing to kind of come off your face. So starting off with a heavy hand isn't always a bad thing, I guess. I mean, it could be, could get dangerous, but it's not always a bad thing. So the highlighter for today's video is not new. This is the Kokie highlighter. And I'm just going to take a little bit of this and highlight the high points of my cheek as well as the center of my face. Alright you guys, we are almost done. I just have to apply my lip shade and then set the face. So for today's lip choice, I did pick up the Juvia's Place, the Nude Chocolates. This is the Velvet Matte Lipstick and the shade is in Lady. You guys know I love me a good nude, so we will be applying that. But before I go in with the lipstick, I am gonna line my lips and fill them in slightly with a little bit of this lip pencil from LA Girl, which is their Perfect Precision lip liner in the shade Cafe. Alright beauties, so this here is the finished and final look. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments down below as always. Now before we close out today's video officially, I do want to give you guys a little mini review, kind of like a speed review if you will, on some of these products because some of them were just that great, I have to tell you guys yet again. So first, starting with the primer, you guys should have known, no different from the setting mist or the foundation. I'm in love with the primer. I think it's very hydrating on the skin, very lightweight, and does, in my opinion, kind of feel like skincare to me. So that was a plus, and I will continue to use that product. Now moving on to the foundation, which I feel like was the star of the show. It was the #1 product I was looking forward to using the most outside of the eyeshadow palette from Morphe. Now this right here, I feel like I love the finish of everything. Now that my face has had time to sit on top of using like powders and stuff like that, I do feel like the finish is more, I don't know if I would say the matte side of things because the foundation was very glowy and dewy and vibrant when I first applied it. But let's not forget, I did apply a hydrating primer underneath. But once it has set down and all of that, and now that my makeup is done, you know, it does seem a little bit more matte. Still lightweight, not uncomfortable in any way, shape, or form. The foundation itself doesn't claim to be matte at all, but it's just what I've noticed. I've noticed that it just sets down a little differently. It's not as glowy or shiny or dewy or anything like that. So that's just something to keep in mind. Also, if you guys do want me to do a separate video where I actually do a foundation wear test with that specific product, let me know down in the comments and I can get that done for you guys. Moving on to the eye products, the Lip Bar Shadow palette. Now again, this is their everyday palette, which I feel like that's exactly what it is. It's very wearable for every day. As you can see, the shadows and shades are very soft. They're not super pigmented, but they're not like not there at all either. One thing I do want to mention, if I didn't throughout the video when I was applying the shadow, is that there was a lot of kick up in the pan. So if that's something that bothers you, then you probably wouldn't like it. But for me personally, it doesn't really cause a problem for me. There wasn't any fallout on my face that I could see, but definitely a lot of kick up in the pan. So I do want to say that. Now, when it comes to the mascara, as you guys know, I don't really care about what mascara I use these days because, I mean, realistically, I'm popping on falsies on top, but I do think the mascara was really nice on its own. So if you're someone who doesn't know how to put on lashes or are not big into lashes at all, then maybe that mascara would be beneficial for you because there was some lift and volume within using it, and it was really, really pigmented in black, which I like. It just makes your lashes stand out and be bold. And again, it reminds me so much of one of the Tarte mascaras that I still can't figure out the name of. But overall, great product, and I will definitely continue to use that as well. So the last product we used on the eyes was this liner from NYX, which I love. I think this is nice, a nice pop of color. It may not be as vibrant as the Colourpop eye pencils that they offer, but it is a nice in-between considering you can't just walk into Ulta and purchase the Colourpop ones. I mean, they have very few like different sets, but you can't get the whole set or specific colors that you want. It's very limited on the color selection that they do offer in store, which can be a hassle for some people. I mean, I'd much rather walk into a store and purchase something rather than order it online, but that's just me personally. But overall, I think that it worked really nicely. It glided on very smoothly, and again, we have a nice yellow pop of color without being too vibrant or overpowering, and it really helped to open up the eyes, and I just like it. Okay, I like it. So last three products, first starting with the bronzer and the blush from Black Radiance. I like the bronzer. I think it reminds me a lot of summertime. It's not a go-to bronzer for me, I don't think, but it is still very nice and pretty, especially if you wanted more of like a bronzy, summery type of look. Now the blush is definitely very pigmented in color, but as you guys can see, it's kind of blended away a little bit and faded away, even just wearing it for this short amount of time, so it's not too intense, as although it does like come off very intense when applying it. But nonetheless, we'll continue to pick this up and use it whenever I feel like it. And then finally, last but not least, our lip choice, which is the Lady lipstick from Juvia's Place. Now this is supposed to be a nude, and it's not really my favorite type of nude. I would prefer more of like a pinky nude, if you will, but I understand why it's more of like an orangey tannish type nude. Nothing wrong with that. It definitely reminds me of like a salmon color, if you will. Maybe this look just isn't the look for this lip choice, just because I am rocking pink on the lids. A more pinky undertoned nude would probably suit this look better, but if I was wearing orange, I think this look would be perfect for it. But overall, great products that I used in today's video. I don't think there is one thing that I didn't like at all. It's been a challenge trying to get through today's video, but I'm glad that we're done. I'm happy with the overall look. Again, you guys can let me know what you think down in the comments down below, but I am going to close out today's video here. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I love you guys so much. Continue to stay safe, and I will see you all in my next upload.